Yesterday was the first day of my 5-day workshop here in Kelowna, and I've got students from all over the world here. I've got bikes for them. We've been riding around on bikes, going to different farm plots. It's been a real blast. So I am very busy this week, and I don't think I'll be able to put out as much content as I normally do, but I did want to take this time in the early morning before I get out there and start teaching to talk to you guys about GMOs. And I've had a lot of people ask me about this, so I'm going to make a video about my opinion on GMOs. So I'm sure most of you who watch my videos are familiar with what GMOs are, genetically modified organisms. I'm not going to go into all of the politics or the environmental consequences of GMOs, because I'm assuming that most of you know, and the video I'm making is addressing people's desire to hear my opinion on this. So I don't eat GMOs, at least not, I don't make an effort to eat GMOs. Sometimes if I'm traveling and there's nowhere else to eat and I have to eat some kind of takeout and it's GMOs, then I might eat GMOs then. But I don't make any effort to eat them, and I certainly don't grow them. And I find that in the sort of the permaculture space, there is a lot of paranoia about GMOs, and I think a lot of it is justified. But I also see, and I've seen this through myself, that people will find a reason to be pissed off and paranoid about anything. And I'm done with being pissed off and paranoid. I don't want to live my life in fear. I'm not worried about Monsanto taking over the food system and turning us into subservient robot slaves that can't think for ourselves. I'm not worried about that, though I have gone down that rabbit hole many times. But I'm not worried about that, primarily because I have seen the world in a different way. When you live your life watching a computer screen and looking at all the things horrible in the world, that's mostly what you see, and so you'll formulate your opinions based on your observations. But when you change your life and you get away from the computer screen for a period of time and you get your hands dirty and you start doing stuff, you start meeting people that are doing cool things as well. And all of a sudden the world looks very different. And that's how it's been for me, because I'll tell you guys, honestly, before I got into farming, I used to spend hours every night cruising the internet, watching YouTube videos on terrifying doomsday documentaries, and I have gone down most conspiracy theory rabbit holes. And I probably believe more than the average person, to be honest with you. But I don't let that fear control my life, because if you let that fear control your life, then they win. So no matter what conspiracy theory or conspiracy, a lot of them I don't think are actually theories, no matter what conspiracy you're talking about, at the end of the day, if you let that fact or that theory or whatever it is make you miserable, then the other guys win. You lose. If you're unhappy and miserable and you feel disabled by fear, you lose. And so I don't see any rational way or reason to live my life that way, especially now that I have a young child. It is not enjoyable and it's unhealthy. So yes, I am concerned about genetically modified organisms in food, and I am concerned of big ag that lobbies government to pass certain bills to protect certain groups of people. Absolutely. I had a good friend once that said to me, I'm in no hurry to worry about things that I can't change. And that's exactly how I feel about it. There's only so much I can do as far as protesting in the street, which I have zero interest in doing, and lobbying government, which I have zero interest in doing. I'm interested in things that I can do and change myself. And I feel like I can honestly say, after 8 years of doing this, that I've changed a good amount of stuff in the world by me just doing hard work and sharing it with people and showing people what I'm doing. So I guess what I want to say with all this message is that if you are concerned about genetically modified organisms and you want to take a stand against that, instead of protesting in the street, why don't you start gardening, and why don't you start helping other people garden, saving your own seeds in your garden? There's a variety of different things you can do to be proactive that, in my opinion, are going to have far greater effect than standing and protesting in the street. And I will say, with some critique in that I actually have a lot of compassion and care for people that do those things, because I used to do them myself. I used to spend time doing that. But I've seen a lot of irrational behavior coming from the anti-GMO side of things. I have seen protesters that literally lose their shit, and they look like fools in my opinion. And my question is, why aren't you doing something else? Like, why aren't you going and creating things instead of taking a stand and saying, I'm against this, I'm against that, and this, and it's just all negative. Take a stand for what you are for. Take a stand to say, I believe in this, I believe in that, and go out and do something. Go out and help people. Go out and produce value than standing there holding signs. And having said that, I have compassion for those people that do that, because I understand their frustration. But I can honestly tell you through my own experience is that if you start doing stuff that's proactive and you start creating value for people, that frustration will change, because all of a sudden your perception of the world will change, because now you'll have people that are happy to see you doing something, opposed to, honestly, protesters in the street. A lot of people just get frustrated with them because they're either blocking traffic or putting out negative energy, which isn't nice to watch. But I get it, I understand it, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. I'm just saying that you probably be more happy in life if you just are more proactive and are creating value instead of standing against things. I feel like there's a lot of misinformation out there about GMOs. The most common piece of misinformation I see is that people confuse hybrid seeds with GMO seeds. They are not the same. I've seen many comments in the videos where people say, hey Curtis, you can't be organic, you use hybrids. Yeah, you can. Tons of organic farms use hybrids. Hybrids aren't GMOs, guys. Hybrids have been around for a very long time. It's just crossing strains of plants. I don't know exactly how it all works, but they're not GMOs. That is a fact. You can look it up, double check it. There are organic farms that use hybrids. They've been around for a long time. So don't worry about that. People often think, they ask the question, Curtis, where do I get non-GMO seeds? And they're assuming that GMO seeds are everywhere. They're not. Most seed companies don't sell GMO seeds. GMO seeds are made for industrial agriculture, and they're sold to industrial agriculture. I could be wrong. In some places there might be some seed varieties that are GMO, but they are hard to find. They're not common. And then some people will say, oh, well, I know Monsanto owns this strain or this patent of a hybrid. That might be true, but that doesn't mean they're GMOs. If Monsanto buys up seed companies or buys up patented hybrids, those still aren't GMOs. And, of course, it's an ethical question for yourself whether you want to support that or not. That's totally fair, but that's besides the point. They're not GMOs. So those are my basic thoughts on GMOs. Don't let fear disable you. You can find so many things every day to be pissed off and paranoid about. And if that information is stopping you from being happy or accomplishing things in your life that are going to move you forward and support your family or support your community, then they're not doing you any favors. So pick up your feet, move forward, and don't let the fear stop you. See you guys later.